So welcome everyone. Thank you very much for joining to this session 3 of Mare Nostrum Talks, organized by the Mediterranean Youth Council. So we have today a very nice guest that came to talk to us about a very interesting program, Interreg NEXT MED. So thank you very much for coming, Joumana. Joumana Sweiss is half French, half Jordanian, but is living in Spain. Is a program officer at the Interreg NEXT MED program. She has been working 7 years on cooperation programs in the Mediterranean, and previously she has worked on European research programs, also between European and Arab universities. So this session, as you can see, is being recorded, and so you will be able to listen in Spotify and YouTube also. And also we will have some questions at the end of the presentation, and you can make them in English, French, or Arabic, because Joumana very kindly offered to answer any of them in any of these languages. Some more people are joining now. So thank you very much, Joumana, for coming, for taking the time to present the program, and also empowering youth voices in this kind of project that you do. And now the floor is completely yours. Thank you very much for coming.
Good afternoon, all. First of all, thank you for the Youth Mediterranean Council for this initiative, for organizing the Mare Nostrum Talks, and special thank to Pablo, obviously. This afternoon, I'm really happy to share some part of the knowledge I have about Mediterranean cooperation from the perspective of a European funded program. I'm going to do more or less a 40-minute presentation, split it into 2 PowerPoints. So I'm going to share my screen and start talking about this. And then what's for me is more interesting will be the question and answer session at the end, so I can maybe clarify or answer any doubt you may have.
Just one thing before, while you're starting the presentation, Joumana. So everyone, if you can put your video on, it would be very nice, because it would be also easier for us to see you and interact with you. Thank you very much, Hind. So yeah, that's it. Can you present?
Yeah, especially if you cannot turn on the camera the whole presentation, it's not a problem, but especially at the question and answer session, maybe. So apparently, to share my screen, I have to ask your permission, because you are the organizer of the. So I sent the request. I don't know if you
I think
received it.
I already gave you the permission.
Okay, perfect. So now I can share my screen. Okay, so can you see the full screen now?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
good. So today, what I really want to tell you about is explain this type of Mediterranean cooperation program within the context of the European Neighborhood Policy. And I hope that by the end of the session, not only you will have increased your knowledge about that, but you will also see this as an opportunity for you to maybe fund ideas of projects you may have to tackle the different challenges that we are facing in this region. Because I really do believe that the Mediterranean region needs the energy, the enthusiasm, and the motivation of young people to tackle these problems, which are really big problems that we need to face together. So just to set the context, in the early 2000, 2004, 2005, the European Union decided to reinforce its relationship with its neighboring countries from the south and the east part. And so they set up this European Neighborhood Policy. And one of the tools to implement this policy is programs such the one I work for, which previously was called NECBC MED. And I think it's important to explain the acronym of this, of the name of the program, to better understand. So NE stands for European Neighborhood Instruments, CBC is cross-border cooperation, and MED for the Mediterranean. So I will talk about NECBC MED and then the following program, which is the current program I'm working for, which is Interreg NEXT MED. On this slide, you will see this is the cooperation area we are working with. It's not a common map of the Mediterranean, and basically all the regions that are in blue are the ones who are eligible, which are eligible in our program. So this map leads me to explain the first concept I will want you to know about our program is that we are not a cooperation program in the sense of cooperation and development as usually we think when we think about NGOs. We are what we call a territorial cooperation program. And territorial cooperation means that we really want the different territories and regions from the Mediterranean to work together, to collaborate together, so they can address common problems and find solutions that can be effective in all these regions. The second concept, which is particular in the case of our program, is the concept of cross-border. We used to call cross-border cooperation under the previous program, NECBC MED, and now under Interreg NEXT MED, we talk about transnational. And honestly, these are quite abstract concepts. So what do we mean by cross-border? What do you mean by transnational? And to give you a simple example, is basically to have the vision of identifying and tackling a challenge which is regional in the large sense of the region and the whole Mediterranean. So for example, the last couple of years, we have witnessed more wildfires setting in Algeria, in Greece, in some parts of Portugal and Spain. So we can see it's a consequence of the climate change, and it's a common problem in the whole region of the Mediterranean. So if you want to propose a project idea, how to tackle wildfire in Algeria, Greece, and Italy, this is what we would say a cross-border cooperation project or a transnational project. While if you live in Lebanon and the last couple of years you've been through many electricity cuts because of structural problems of electricity in Lebanon, for me, this is a local problem. It's not necessarily shared by other territories, or it might have some common aspects, but it's not like a common challenge for the whole Mediterranean. So it's really to keep in mind that we are tackling Mediterranean problem versus local ones. And we do not want to fund projects that only tackle local problems. And this is quite challenging, because usually a small organization think about its local problems and does not have this vision of how I can find other regions who share the same challenge. So briefly, the previous program in NECBC MED included 13 participating countries from all the shores of the Mediterranean, and we had a budget of about 210 million euros. Some European programs are managed directly by the European Commission in Brussels, and others are being kind of managed by local or regional entities. And in our case, it's the region of Sardinia in Italy, which we call the managing authority. So they are the region that handle this program and manage all the funds of this program. This managing authority is supported by two offices, one based in Aqaba in south of Jordan, which cover the east part of the Mediterranean. And another one is based in Valencia, Spain, and which is the office where I work. So the main objective of our program is really to foster fair and sustainable economic, social, and territorial development. I'm not going to go into details of these slides, but I just wanted to tell you that with this money we have under NECBC MED, we managed to fund 80 projects. And among those 80 projects, we had 24 projects dealing with supporting SMEs and startups, 17 about innovation and technology transfer, 14 on social inclusion and fight against poverty, and 25 projects tackling environmental topics such as promoting water reuse, promoting organic waste management at municipality level, improving energy efficiency in public buildings, and also improving the management of integrated coastal zones. What type of organization or entities present projects and we fund? So from the statistic of the previous program period, 37% were NGOs and only 1% were international organizations. And the rest of entities, as you can see from the slide, we have like regional and local administration, body governed by public law, private companies, and also ministries. So now I set the context. I would like to give you some example of projects we funded in the previous years. Most of the 80 projects we funded were implemented between 2019 and 2023, so within 4 years. And one of them was a project called Common, dealing with marine litter in the Mediterranean Sea. And this project was really nice because they implemented what we call pilot areas in different parts of the coast in Tunisia, Lebanon, and Italy, where they could do some research about microplastic in fish, about using robots to clean up the marinas in this area, raising awareness. So it was really the idea of we are sharing this Mediterranean Sea, which is quite polluted, and we want to analyze and to see what we could do or what we could avoid regarding the presence of microplastic in the sea. So this is some of the results out of this project. I think if you want, I have no problem in sharing the presentation at the end, so you can have access to all these data. Another project we funded many of them about textile and how to promote a more sustainable fashion. So again, here we really promoted entrepreneurs who wanted to work as designers or in the textile industry. We provide them with vouchers. We created networks at Mediterranean level for investors. So that was also a good example of projects we have funded. There's also a couple of projects about sustainable tourism, such as Restart Med. And for example, they created through these projects a joint branding to promote less known touristic destination or different ways of tourism, more slow tourism, for example, or adventure tourism, and not only Mediterranean Sea with the concept of the sea, the sun, and not very sustainable way of traveling. We also provided sub-grants to promote tourism products and some grants so entrepreneurs in the sector could create their business. So what we consider a successful project? We consider a successful project transnational. The first concept I explained about having this vision of Mediterranean challenge, strong ownership, which for me is a key point, meaning that if you subcontract a consultant to write a proposal for you, you are not going to necessarily to have a feeling of owning this project. So in the preparation phase, it's important that all the partners that you are choosing are involved in it and feel that the project you are writing is their project. So it's much better than to make people feel that they own it and they get involved. Obviously, it's important to make sure that you have a good management system, that you propose some innovative solutions. Innovative doesn't mean you have to come up with bright new high-tech, latest high-tech technologies. It can It can be other type of innovation, like social innovation, for example. And also we really try to fund projects that may have impact on the mid-long term, impact on social level, economic, environmental, or policy. So on social level, it can be maybe changing a little bit the mindset of people regarding waste or regarding the use of water and things like that. And obviously, we look at this project to be inclusive and to be visible and really share what they are doing and what they are implementing. So why I was telling you all this? Because now that you have a slight idea about our program and what type of projects we fund, I wanted to focus my presentation about our program and its relationship with young people in the Mediterranean. And we just thought with my colleagues that so far we've been looking at young people as beneficiaries of these projects. So I'll give you some example, and then I will move to how our vision evolved to get young people more involved. So NECBC MED and young people, we see them as beneficiaries. I will give you some more examples. So we had this project Helios, which worked in different countries, in Italy, Greece, and so on, but also in Gaza. That was back in 2022. And for example, one of the activities they've done was training and organizing hackathon to about 150 people in Gaza on opportunities in circular and blue economy. Then we have another example in north of Jordan, in Irbid, where they organize also a hackathon at the Just University, which is in Irbid. So the young people could develop some games or video games related to how to discover different sites, archaeological sites in north of Jordan. So we, for example, as a program, provided sub-grants to promote cross-border cooperation. For example, in Tunisia, we had this project, Best Med Grape, about how to use the waste that come out from the wine or from the grapes. And they funded 10 young Tunisians to have this grant so they can develop their business on how to value this waste and turn it into useful products. We also promoted through the textile sector collaboration between Tunisia and Spain, between designers and people working in the textile sector. I'm going to give you different examples from different fields. So I give you these examples, and now I'm moving to the part related to innovation, coaching, and mentoring. So also, again, we provided sub-grants to young entrepreneurs in Egypt and Greece. And we really wanted to focus that it was not only about providing some mentoring, it was much more than that, as you can see from the title and the subtitles of these news that we published. Also in the port sector, I like to give this example because we funded a project called DIEPMED, run by a Catalan entity or coordinated by the Catalan entity. And what they did is training young people in a sector where they know there's a great potential for employment. And one of them is the logistics and international trade in ports and Mediterranean ports. And maybe you remember that in August 2020, there was this terrible explosion of Beirut port. And right after, we saw that within this project, they were training people in the port of Beirut. So it was like a sign of hope saying, okay, it is a disaster, absolute disaster after the explosion, but still there's hope for young people to work in the port of Beirut and to have a future and a career in this port. In social inclusion, we really promoted exchanges. So, when we think about exchanges, we usually think about Erasmus programs. We think about, for example, a Tunisian person going for a university exchange in Italy or in France, but we don't have so many examples of exchanges between Algeria and Turkey, or between Tunisia and Jordan. And through some of our projects, we really managed to do that. So it was nice because, for example, a Tunisian person would go 3 months in Jordan for a specific project about energy. And not only he will receive this training, but he will also live the whole experience of living in a different culture, in a different country, discover all these cultural aspects. We also supported projects which implemented activities to support early school leavers, for example, in Tunisia. Young people in the environment, we provided grants to people who were suggesting how to reuse paper, how to give a second life to glass, or how to some startups would have really innovative ideas towards zero waste. So this is how we saw young people at this stage of our program. And then we thought, okay, our main work is to fund projects. But beyond that, we can maybe all these people, all these partners through these projects, it can also be a space where young people can exchange. And this is where we started to switch and see young people not only as beneficiary, but also as through our program, they can find a platform where they can share their concerns, and through our networks, maybe their voice could be heard somewhere. And that's why since December 2020, we start organizing debates either online or physical meetings with young people from all over the Mediterranean to really try to understand what are their concerns and priorities. So, for example, I remember I moderated this online meeting debate, and one of the questions I asked them was, how would you like to see the Mediterranean region in 25 years? Or just to discover after debating with them that employment, gender equality, and fight against climate change were really the top priorities for young people back then. We organized another one for the European Day in May 2021. So back then it was more about employment and climate change. 2021 was very important, the date. And then the year after, we organized another debate in Valencia. And suddenly we realized that climate change was not such a priority anymore. And what was still a priority was jobs and stability. And that was in May 2022. And if you look well at the date, it was 3 months after the beginning of the war in Ukraine. So you can see how young people also, their priorities change with the international context. We also organized another one within the EU Week for Regions and Cities. And this one was really also nice because the main message was to remove any filters that we may have about each other in either north, south, or east, west from the Mediterranean, and embrace the Mediterranean diversity. Then we also organize more specific topics. So back in June 2021, we organized a whole session, a whole afternoon, Young People for Zero Pollution in the Mediterranean. And we connected live with different people. You can see the speakers. For example, we have this lady from Lebanon who were working for Greenpeace as a Greenpeace MENA campaigner, Or we have Giovanni Mori. Back then, he was a spokesperson for Fridays for Future. We have this Majd Harawi, quite well known, at least in Palestine. She's from Gaza, and she set up her business to rebuild all the buildings and houses that were destroyed, and how to recycle this waste construction and make a new material that can reuse it for building. Or, for example, we connected live with this French lady, Anaël, who was traveling on the Mediterranean coast to raise awareness, and she was on her kayak connecting live and explaining what she was doing. So these are other type of initiatives we had to get involved youth, and not really get involved, but at least hear what they want to say. We organized another one about youth for a greener clothing and fashion industry. And we also realized that through our project, they were recruiting, or at least hosting young people within the program of Interreg Volunteer Youth. And we got inspired by our projects. And since October, we have a young volunteer in our team in Valencia. Back then, we all used to have a weekly med opportunities that we published on our social networks. And also we have this med stories every Thursday on Instagram. So now that we moved from looking at young people as beneficiaries to, okay, young people have their own priorities, concerns, and we want to have these debates with them and understand them better. Now, the last move that our program did was to look at young people as actors who can really make a difference and change in the Mediterranean region. So that leads me to the following presentation, which is Interreg NEXT MED and what we are doing to support young people in the Mediterranean. I don't know if you want to maybe just for a little bit, for a minute, Pablo, we can see if more people want to ask question, or shall I continue?
No, if some people maybe have some questions now about, I mean, I have some questions, but I want to go for it at the end. But if someone has any questions, also you can ask them in English, French, even Arabic. So you don't have any problem.
I think
Okay.
Salma raised her hand.
Yeah.
Yes, I sorry. I actually don't have a question. Just wanted to say hi to Joumana and to say that it's good to connect again after the event we had last time with Fez. So it's good to have you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Salma. So for those who don't know, like Salma is the co-vice president of the Mediterranean Youth Council. And we have now our director of communications, Mohammed. Very nice to see you.
Thanks, Pablo. Thanks, Joumana. Hey, everyone. I just want to know, Joumana, what usually the focus of the programs that you do exactly. I saw that you had inclusion part, and then you went talking about a little bit. There was the few programs that you did with Tunisia and Jordan and so on. What countries that you usually focus on? I'm from Libya, and I believe that we don't have much of opportunities like that. So I was a little bit enthusiastic to know more if we can actually involve Libya in such a collaboration between even North African countries, Libya, Tunisia, Morocco, Algeria, and so on. I can actually even link you with the Ministry of Youth here in Libya if you would like to do so. Yeah, that's it.
Thank you. Unfortunately, Libya is not part of our program now. Hopefully in the future, maybe in the next period, the situation in Libya will be, we hope to have Libya on board in the next program. But right now, it's not, it's difficult for a Libyan organization to receive funds.
Well noted. Thank you, Joumana.
You're welcome.
So maybe we
Pablo,
can, we can go for the next part if you want.
Go to the next part. Okay. Okay, can you see the second presentation now? Okay. Yes. So I'm repeating myself, but basically from beneficiaries to a platform and now to actor of change. So now we started this new program, Interreg NEXT MED, about 2 years ago. Last year, we launched the first goal with a budget of about 100 million euro. And we decided to dedicate 20% of this budget to fund youth-oriented projects. I'm not going to repeat this, and you may have it if you want. So what are the novelties compared to the NECBC MED program? First of all, we have Algeria and Turkey under NECBC MED. Algeria and Turkey did not participate. So this is a very nice, good news. Secondly, if you look at the map, compared to the previous map, we have more regions involved from Tunisia and from Jordan, for example. So we have 15 participating countries in total, and we have also an increasing budget. We have 263 million, before we had 210. So we increased about 15 million euros, which is quite good. So to go maybe to link with the previous question from the Libyan communication, who is in the communication of the Mediterranean Youth Council, Mohammed, I think. What are the topics we cover? So we cover these 4 main topics. We call them priorities. The first one is about having a more competitive and smarter Mediterranean. The second one is about a greener and low carbon Mediterranean, social and inclusive Mediterranean, and multi-level governance. But then in a couple of slides, I will give you more details about that. So at which stage are we now? We closed the first call last year. We are about to finalize the evaluation, and by the end of the month, we will publish the results of the first call. So we will probably fund around 40 or 50 projects, and part of them will be youth-oriented projects. But right now, today, we have the second call open. But this second call is focused on green transition. Why? Because again, the Mediterranean is warming 20% faster than the rest of the Earth. And we thought that we should dedicate part of our budget for projects really focused on this green transition in the Mediterranean. So this call is open to the 9 topics that I'm going to explain in a while. We have a budget for this call of 83.7 million euros, and part of it is for eco-youth projects. Usually, projects are between 2 and 3 years. And in order to participate and submit a proposal, you have to have at least a minimum of 3 participating countries, 1 from the European Union countries and 1 from the MENA region. The next 2 slides for me are the most important ones in case you are interested in submitting a proposal. So as I told you, the 4 main priorities are divided into different topics, which we call them specific objectives. So you can see that in the first priority, we fund projects that tackle research and innovation capacities and how to uptake some technologies. The second one is much more focused on the competitiveness of SMEs and how to create jobs for SMEs, to support the SMEs. The second priority, which is much more focused on the environment, we again have energy efficiency and reducing greenhouse gas emission, climate change adaptation and disaster risk prevention, access to water and sustainable water management, and transition to a circular and resource-efficient economy. You can see we divided for each topic, we have a budget share. So if we receive much more projects under the priority 1, it doesn't mean that we're going to fund more projects under priority 1 because we only have, under 1.2, we have 14.5 million euros. Let's move to the third priority, which is there's 3.1 about inclusive and quality services in education and training. And the second one is oriented in health, promoting healthcare system and from institutional big hospitals to a model of more community health service. And the fourth one is about a better cooperation governance, meaning trying to improve the relationship between citizen and local authorities, so we have a better governance in the region. And what do we fund? Again, this is important to understand, so it's not misleading you if you want to submit a proposal. Sometimes we received a proposal where they planned just to do some need assessment or analysis or reports or policy recommendation and so on. I think there are many funding institutions who already funded this type of projects. Many of them are in the drawers of the office. And what we're really trying to fund is to, based on the results of previous projects, and to propose to test a solution for this specific problem through pilots or demonstration actions. I could give you many examples, but for example, the reuse of water. The water is a big issue in the Mediterranean region. Many countries like Jordan, they are among the worst countries in terms of water stress. So if we think of reusing the water, because sometimes the water is not 100% clean, but still you can use it for irrigation or you can use it for some type of domestic tasks, people are still reluctant to this idea. But it's not only about changing the mindset of people, but it's also make sure that the legislation allows you to reuse this water for hygienic reasons or for many different reasons. So we funded a project which basically demonstrated through 5 pilots that we can perfectly reuse the water from the toilet or from the shower to irrigate the gardens or the parks around. And one of them was in Jordan, in a dormitory at a university facility. Another one was in Beirut, again, dormitory of a university facility. Another one was at a primary school in Italy. And when you do this and you show the mayor of your town that in this public school, we managed to do that, then it's like demonstrating that this solution can work. So it's much more convincing for the policy makers to see that you already test the solution, you are demonstrating at a middle scale that it works, so you can maybe upscale it. So I'm saying all this just basically to transmit the idea that we are really funding not the theory part, but the practical cases. And in the current call, we have 2 types of projects, the green transformation projects and the eco-youth ones. The eco-youth ones, the budget is slightly slower, but still for me, it's a big budget to handle for a youth organization. And we have dedicated 16 million of our call to fund eco-youth projects. So what do we mean by participation requirement for eco-youth project? You have to have in your partnership or in your consortium at least one of the 2 criteria as partners. Either you have 2 partner organizations whose majority of staff involved in the management are aged between 18 and 30, or you have at least 2 partners whose main work is for the benefit of young people. And how can you demonstrate their having this experience? I'm sorry, because I cannot move this so you can see. Yeah. So demonstrate that you have at least 2 years experience from the date of the launching of the call, leading projects addressing youth and with a similar type of budget. I'm trying to switch it again. Okay. No, sorry. I don't know how to minimize that.
Do you need any help with the presentation?
No, I think it's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So personally, I think the budget for eco-youth projects is quite high, but you have to think that if you apply for between 700,000 to 2 million euro for a project that lasts 3 years and you may have 5 partners, so you can split between the number of the partners and between the 3 years. And you can have an idea of more or less how much budget you have to handle in this kind of projects. Yeah, I think I'm repeating, this slide is a little bit repeating with the previous one, but the only thing I wanted to highlight here is that you can participate to this call and submit a project proposal, either as a coordinator or as a partner or as an advisory partner. And the advisory partner, it's something new that we didn't have in our previous call. So the advisory partner, for example, we have France, which is part of our program, but only the Mediterranean region of France, so the south part of France, are eligible regions. But in this case, if you have a relevant partners based in Paris, he may take part as an advisory partner. So this is a new figure. Maybe I'm entering into some details that are not relevant for the public now, but anyway. Okay. And just to end my presentation, the call is open until the 14th of April at 1 p.m. Central European time. And between last week until mid of March, we're organizing information days in the different countries. And we already organized an online session. So if you are interested, if you are based in Cairo, Algeria, Tunisia, we already had the event last week. But if you are in these cities and you are curious and want to know more about this call, you are more than welcome to take part in our information days. If you want to find partners, we also develop a platform called MedConnect, where you can see the profiles of different partners from all the Mediterranean region saying, I'm interested in water issue, and my idea of project is that, and I'm looking a partner from Tunisia. So it can help to network. And if you have any doubt, any question about our program, feel free to contact me. I thought I had put my email contact, but not. So I will put it on the chat in a while. And that's it for now. I think now I just open to answer any question. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Joumana. This was like a super interesting presentation. I think there is just one small question. So the deadline is the 13th of April or 13th of March?
15th of April.
15th of April. So in any case, I think we will try to, you will send us the presentations, and maybe we can later also disseminate them. You also have the email of Joumana now in the chat. Now the floor is open, so thank you very much. I think it was very interesting, the idea, of course, of the NYC and the people that connected here, is that this can serve as a place for them to now connect with institutions and actors that are in their different territories, because we are split all around the Mediterranean, and now that maybe some people could also give you some more work and also apply to this call. I have some questions, maybe to start with. If everyone else wants to jump in, please do it now. If not, maybe I can already ask you some questions, Joumana. Salma has a question, so please go for it.
Yes, thank you, Pablo. Thank you, Joumana, for your presentation. So I had a question, even if Morocco is not part of the project, but I wanted to know, is the same funds or money allocated to the MENA and the European countries when it comes to these environmental projects? Just because I believe that there might be some countries that are more affected than others, as well as some countries that might not have access to fair transition. So how is the funding allocated to different regions?
Yeah, so our call is based on the competitiveness of the proposals, meaning that we have a evaluation grid with some criteria, and we look at the criteria. We don't look at the countries. We don't we don't have any obligation to fund I don't know, 5 projects with Algerian coordinator or 10 projects with Italian coordinators, because we don't, it's just based on the proposal. If the proposal is good, if it replies to the criteria we have set under the evaluation grid, but so there's no allocated budget per country.
Okay, thank you for answering my question.
So I just one thing, if you can put your camera well when you are asking the question, and also you can make questions in French or in Arabic if you feel more comfortable doing so. If there are no questions at the moment, I will ask you some questions, Joumana. So for me, it was super interesting the way that you presented all these projects, because they tackle completely different sites. But I wanted to ask you, so how is the process a little bit of like finding these organizations to come up together? Like how do you see how does this process evolve? Is it in your sessions where you, or in the platform that you facilitate for actors to come together? Is more projects that they come already from before, that the actors, they had this idea? So how are the different processes of every project?
So usually, I'll just give an example. Let's say that you have a Tunisian organization and the Italian NGO. They know each other from previous collaboration or from personal contacts or whatever. And so you have like this core relationship at the very beginning. And then based on that, they have to find other partners. And we are fully aware that it's much more difficult when you want to go more international, or at least Mediterranean, to find contacts, because if you are locally, you can find easily other partners. So that's why we start developing these platform where people can just publish their profile, saying what are their interests, what type of partners they're looking for. And also 2 weeks ago, we organized 10 sessions online, each session about one specific topic, to explain this, and also to like we basically presented 5 minutes the topic, and then during 1 hour or 1 hour and a half, any partners or potential partners could just promote and explain what he's looking for. And it's also about trust, because people, they may only present their organization, but they don't want to present their idea of project. So it's up to anyone to share as much as they want or not, to make it easier to find the good partner.
I see. So also, I mean, of course, you have different kinds of institutions and actors that come together. So is it also easy to, for example, you talked about the case of an Italian and Tunisian NGO. Is it normally the case that it's NGOs joining together, or you have like institutions at different levels, governments that actually join together?
Yes, I didn't explain that, but we insist when we talk about the partnership, how you build your partnership, we are really looking for the diversity of the entities. So let's say if you have marine litter and you propose a project with 5 universities from different Mediterranean countries, we wouldn't evaluate this criteria as something positive, because between universities or between academic, you cannot really tackle the problem. If you want to tackle waste management, you need a private company dealing with waste management. You need the municipality, because it's a competence of the municipality to manage its organic waste. And you need probably an NGO which is involved in environmental issue and how to make people engaged in their own municipalities to improve waste management. So this is something really we insist on that, because we think that one of the key success for a project is to have a diversity of entities. You cannot tackle a problem without getting involved the ministry of employment, you cannot tackle unemployment of young people in a region only with an NGO. You need the Ministry of Employment to be involved. You need the Council of Youth People to be involved, because they are the one who, at the end of the day, are policymakers or have them make the policy decisions. So if you don't involve them in your project, you may do a fantastic work, super nice, but it doesn't have an impact because you haven't involved the key person since the very beginning.
Yeah, I see that this is very interesting actually, and I find it very interesting because normally, at least I'm an academic, and I find that normally between academics you stay together, no, and it's difficult to go, and especially for universities, it's important to push them to find how solutions are applicable. So I have another question about that, about the fact that about the life of these projects. So how do these how first how scalable are these projects? Like because of course you may have very different projects in different sizes, right? Like bigger, smaller, on different countries, and also how much do they are sustainable after they are implemented? Do these projects continue to exist after they've been through the program? How are these cases?
Yeah, this is also we are fully aware that this is like the weak part of any projects funded by any international funder. It's the sustainability, because usually when the project ends, the funds ends, and that's it. There's no continuity. So we increased the importance or the weight of this aspect in the evaluation process. We increased it compared to the previous program, NECBC MED. And to give you some examples, which for me are successful, I shouldn't say that, but I realized that most of the projects coordinated by Catalan entities were quite good at the sustainability part. And one of them I have in mind is about waste management. And what they did is, about 6 or 9 months before the end of the project, they invited me as institutional representative of the EU program to make a speech in front of the mayor and in front of potential investors to basically convince them that they should keep funding these projects, because during 3 years they did a fabulous job. They got the permission from the municipality to have the land to install all the facilities for the waste management units and plant. They trained people, they recruit people, they created employment. So especially employment, people who were without jobs for many years, or they were out of the system, and they got a job through that. So they just couldn't allow themselves to say the project finish in September and they will stop in September and people will get unemployed again. So that was a very smart move from this side. And they really have this plan of, I have plan A, plan B, how I'm going to sustain this activity, how I'm going to convince those investors that it's worth doing it, because as a maintenance cost is nothing for big companies or for the municipality or whoever who take in charge. So we do have good examples, but unfortunately, they are not enough. They are still a small part of these projects. Most of them, they end and that's it. I always make the comparison with a classroom. You always have the smarter, the clever students, the bad ones, and the regular ones. So in projects, it's the same. You have very good projects, you have bad ones, and then you have, okay, good. They're good, but and you have to assume that somehow.
Yeah, I see it. So now Ayub has a question. I'm going to read it out loud. So he said, should the partner organization be from the opposite shore of the Mediterranean, or can you partner with a neighboring country organization?
Okay, so one of the minimum requirement to build up your partnership you have to have at least one partner from the north part and one from the south. But usually the partnership is made up of 4, 5, 6 partners. So let's say you have at least to have an organization from Algeria and one from the northern shore, from France, Spain, or Italy, and then you can complement with another from Tunisia, from Greece, and so on. Sorry. By the way, if you are in Algeria, I hope to see you next week at our information day, next Tuesday.
Yeah,
Thank you. Thank you for your answer, Joumana. And I would love to come, but I'm currently based in Alexandria. I'm working with Ananet Foundation. So
Okay, nice.
yeah, I don't know if you remember, but I have been accepted as volunteer a few months ago, and I couldn't make it because of the visa.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah.
But
So
I'm glad that now you are based in Alexandria. Congratulations.
Thank you.
but ITSM is in Algeria, she's saying, and we are
Okay,
very proud.
so you definitely have to come either in Alger or Oran.
Hi, Joumana. I hope you're
Hello.
doing well. I
Yes.
didn't know that you're coming to Oran, but I can definitely come. I just need some information, so if you can send it to me, it would be amazing.
Okay. Can you send me an email tomorrow and I will answer. I give you the full information about those two events
Sure.
in Algeria.
Sure, I will do that.
Where are you based in Algeria?
In Oran.
Oh, perfect. So I'll see you next Thursday for sure.
Okay, see you. Thank you, Joumana.
Hello, Joumana.
Hello.
Hi, I would like to introduce myself. I'm Basma Arabiyat. I work at the Ministry of Planning. I recently started to work in the Interreg program. I don't know if you know Mr. Imad Shana'a.
Yes, of course I know him. Yes.
Sorry, I have problem in my speaker and I couldn't open the camera. It's very informative, the presentation. I just wanted to ask, as a government, if I want to, and a national authority, if I want to apply for a project and to find a partner, is it possible for MOPIC to apply for a project under the governance?
So your question is, as you are working for the Ministry of Planning,
Yeah.
can you apply and submit a proposal under the governance specific objective?
Yeah.
Yes, you can. The thing is, the thing is, if you are working in the same department as Imad Shana'a, who's the national
at the EU
authority,
partnership. Yeah.
there might be a conflict of interest. So as long as you can apply, but you have to precise that there might be a conflict of interest, and we will make sure that this evaluation is not going through the wrong hands.
Oh, okay. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much for the question, Basma. So
you're welcome.
I think we should be wrapping up the session because it's already been a while. But I have a let's say like a more general question, I think, to wrap up the session. And it's like, how much do you see, I know it's a big question, but how much do you see this creates kind of a Mediterranean identity in the different projects? Like, do you see there is, if we can call what's a Mediterranean identity, because that's a big debate, but do you see then there are some big connections that are made, a different way of seeing the Mediterranean in a different way? Do you think this is something that changes the participants in any way?
Yes, through the 80 projects we funded under NECBC MED, I've been following them, at least half of them, quite closely. And during this period, 2019 and 2023, I could see the evolution. I could see that, unfortunately, a Spanish person or partner in a project would know so little about Tunisian or Lebanese. And talking with these partners, they say, wow, I didn't know that in Tunisia they do this and that like us. Or, wow, I didn't know that Lebanese people, So I took for granted that everybody knew that. But then I realized that when you start funding projects and talk with the different partners, they do discover that we have much more in common than we have differences. And that our differences, let's say religion or other aspect of the culture, is not as important as what we share as lifestyle, as climate, as so many other different social life, how we relate between each other, which is super different from north of Europe or other part of Europe or other parts of the world. So that makes me really reflect on the sense of promoting a Mediterranean identity. So I do believe that we are contributing. It's really a drop of water in the ocean, but still it's worth it. And I think this is the only way we can break the barriers and make people open up and embrace the diversity, as some young people said in our debates. So yeah, I think this is one aspect. And then I would also like to mention something. You know that the Union for the Mediterranean, about 4 years ago, they launched the Mediterranean Day, which is on the 28th of November, which didn't exist before. So we seized this opportunity and we start celebrating the Mediterranean Day by really organizing a celebration, you know. So the first one we organized in Valencia, an oil tasting from Mediterranean oil from each country. And we have like samples from Palestinian olive oil, Lebanese olive oil, Maltese, and so on. And we had this expert in olive oil from Jaén. You know, Jaén is the region of olive oil in Spain. And we invited some students from a high school and they oil tasted all these oil. And that was really nice because it's something that we really share in the Mediterranean. I mean, olive oil is emblematic of the Mediterranean region. The following year, we organized a photo exhibition and a wine tasting because we funded. So we did the olive oil partly because we had a project on olive oil. Then we organized this wine tasting because we had a project on NEOMED about wine and led by Tunisian entity. So they could taste wine from Tunisia, from Lebanon, and also it break barriers because, you know, we do not usually think of, when we think about wine, we think about France, about Italy, about Spain, but we don't think about Tunisia and Lebanon. We did this photo exhibition, which was really nice. And the year after, we organized a photo contest. And we usually take the main topic that the UFM set for the Mediterranean Day. And it was about finding the Mediterranean in your city. So we received so many photos from young people, and we organized an online vote. So people could vote for the photos they like the best. We also did some videos. Sorry, that was I can talk much more, but I will stop.
No, but please
The
go
last
on. Please
example
go on.
about the Mediterranean. So I think the first year, besides the olive oil tasting, we asked our projects to ask young people to define the Mediterranean in one word. I know that was amazing. So obviously Egyptian people couldn't define it in one word. It has to be at least one phrase, long sentence. Then people would relate it to history, to culture. Someone even say, for me, the Mediterranean is Palestine. So that was only define the Mediterranean in one word. And another, the following year, they decided to say, tell me what is the Mediterranean with the different sense, like the taste, the smell, the sound. And I remember, I don't know if it was Italian or Spanish, say, for me, Mediterranean smells as fried seafood, you know? And I don't know, we do have these videos. If you are interested, I can share the links. And I think all these small initiatives, which go beyond the funding projects and so on, they really bring something to feel that you are part of this region. So yeah, my answer was long.
No, because the history of the Mediterranean itself, it's very long, and our cultures are, mixed, and it's like the sea, it comes and goes. So I think we will not take much more of your time, Joumana. I think it was a great session to hear, like how the Interreg NEXT MED works, the previous also program, and I just found fantastic all the different ideas that you presented, because it just shows that we have so many ideas that we can implement, and that you also are actually funding. We also hope that in the future, for example, countries like Libya or some regions of Libya could also join, hopefully. And and yeah, and thank you very much. So and also that I hope also personally that this is a way that also, like Mediterranean countries and regions can also find their identity, their culture, and a way also to to be themselves, not to all the time look to other places of the world as influences, but to themselves as the actual way where they can take decisions. So thank you very much, everyone that came and joined us today. As I said in the beginning, this session is recorded, and we will have it in Spotify and Spotify and YouTube of the Mediterranean Youth Council. So I suggest you follow us for those that you don't. And for the next sessions, we are also talking about different guests that may come. But we will not say this now. We will let you with the suspense for the next sessions. Thank you once again, Joumana, for connecting with us, and to all the people that connected, and have a very nice Mediterranean evening.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Bye-bye.
much.
Thank you, Joumana. Thank you, Pablo.
Pablo.